Sedgefield? Great to be in the heart of Tony Blair's former constituency. The Remainer-in-Chief. And now, of course, represented by his successor, another Remainer. And isn't that the story across so much of the northeast of England? Constituencies that voted Leave on June the 23rd, 2016, now represented by Labour MPs that want to remain. Represented by Labour MPs who want you to vote again because you were simply too stupid to get it right the first time. And what we want to give you the chance to do in the Brexit Party is to give them a very loud answer to their arrogance. Tell them what you think, and you can do that. It's unbelievable. They want to give us a choice, the Labour Party, of Remain versus Remain. I mean, we're watching our democracy literally being traduced. Now, I think since this party formed just over 6 months ago, we've had a very dramatic effect on British politics. Brexit appeared to have just disappeared. No chance of it happening. An utterly hopeless Prime Minister taking us in a direction that was just wrong. It was never going to be Brexit. And Boris, well, Boris has got a bit more energy and optimism than Mrs. May, but he brought back that deal that he told us was all wonderful, but actually was very, very similar to the one that Mrs. May had rejected. And I was very much of a mind that what we had to do in the Brexit Party was to fight against everybody in every seat in the country. But he did make some concessions last night. He did say we'd be leaving at the end of December. Now, he has said that before. You know, do or die in a ditch. So we've got to be careful about promises that get made during election time. And believe you me, if there are somebody in this room who are sceptical about the straightforwardness and honesty of all of our political parties, I am with you on that point. Don't worry, I really am. But he did also promise last night that we'd pursue a free trade deal along the lines of Canada that would not give us political alignment. Now look, if we leave the political institutions of the European Union and pursue friendship and free trade, if that's what we actually do, then we will have Brexit. Then we will be an independent, self-governing nation. And if it wasn't for us and the threat of us, Boris, I don't think, perhaps you agree, perhaps you don't, but I don't think Boris would have said those things last night. I don't believe there would have been this change of direction. So what we've decided to do today is to concentrate our fire, to concentrate our fight on the Labour Party and the Remainer parties who want to force you into having that second referendum. I think to have a second referendum would be an insult to 17.4 million people, an insult to our entire democratic system, and it must be stopped. And Richard's talked already about this, but look, you know, the Labour Party have taken areas like the North East for granted for far too long. Now is your chance to vote for people who will actually stand up for your interests and for your rights. And that is what we intend to do in this election. But if we're to succeed, this will not happen if the Conservative Party are there on their own. Because if they're on their own with a majority, they'll be able, yet again, not to deliver. Which is why what we need to get is a strong Brexit Party voice in the House of Commons to make sure Boris honours his promises, and that is what we set out and we intend to do. We have seen seismic political change in Scotland in the last 20 years. Seismic political change in Northern Ireland, with completely different parties now representing constituencies in the course of the last 20 years. And something tells me, just a week into travelling around the country from the northwest to the East Midlands to South Wales and now here to the northeast today, something tells me that the Labour Party is now the London Labour Party, utterly disconnected from constituencies that it's represented in many cases for over 100 years, and we could be on the edge of major seismic change in England. So I'm asking you to put aside any ideas of left or right in politics. Those arguments, those debates come later. This is now about whether we get to deliver a country in which we decide how everything from financial services to fisheries is governed and the rules under which they operate. And that can only happen in an independent country that's got a genuinely sovereign parliament. And that is only going to happen if the Brexit Party is strong and the Brexit Party has a voice in that process. I have a feeling with the rest of the campaign, I mean, they say it's the Brexit election, but until today, nobody was even talking about Brexit. All they're talking about is how much money they can produce.
Free money.
From almost nowhere, chucking around hundreds of billions, some say perhaps even trillions, over the course of the next 5 years. I have to say, when I listen to the general debate that's going on a week into the election, I have a feeling that huge numbers of people are simply going to switch off.
We hope.
They're going to say, well, you've turned up tonight, so thank you. And you're not asleep either, so it can't be bad. I just think, why would any of us believe any of these promises that are being made? I don't. Do you believe the promises you're being made in this election? No, I don't. And I think it's quite likely that in that environment, and given that the election is on December the 12th, short days, possibly rotten weather, I have a feeling that you might get a much lower turnout than we've had for some years because of distrust in the political process. And that is why I need you to do something very important for me, for all of us. A lot of people who voted in that referendum did so because they wanted us to get back control of our laws, control of our borders, to get back our identity, a sense of pride in who we are as a nation. And out there are a lot of people who voted Brexit who are now beginning to ask, after 3.5 years of lies and deceit by a Remainer parliament, a lot of them are asking, is there really any point in voting? A lot of our side have become disenchanted because of the behaviour of the Liberal Democrats, Labour and many others. And so what I need you to do is to be our messengers, to tell those people that it is worth voting, and the lower the turnout, the more important every single vote is going to be. Big victories in life, big historic changes in a nation do not happen because of one single event. It always takes a much longer and much more determined campaign. So I need you to share the optimism that I've got, because believe you me, what I do know is that Brexiteers are still solid in wanting that result, and that there are many who voted for the Remain side who've changed their minds in the last 3 years. They've seen the sheer arrogance of our so-called friends in Brussels. That's been helpful. But also, many of those who voted Remain are Democrats. They understand what those that went before us and who we commemorate on this very day did it so that we could have a free democracy where you respect the result regardless whether you win. So let's have no pessimism on our side of the argument. Let's believe in what we voted for 3.5 years ago. Let's recognise that great change, great improvement doesn't come easily and doesn't come cheaply. But we are on our way to gaining the independence of our nation, and we can on December the 12th. If you're prepared to help, are you prepared to help us? Well, get out and spread that message, and if you have to carry them over your shoulders down to the polling stations, do it. Let's make sure we've moved the Conservative Party now to a much more reasonable position. They're beginning to talk about something that gets close to what we voted for. If we're there with a voice, we will keep them honest. I know that sounds a tall order, given the level of trust in politics, but only we can do it. There will only be a genuine Brexit if we have the Brexit Party represented. Thank you very much indeed.